to you by our leading partner, Chinook Seedery. Go to Chinook for your sunflower needs. If you are a sunflower fan, you should be going to Chinook. That's spelled Chinook. Use discount code The Skipper's View to get 10% off seeds. Get flavors from original all the way to Parmesan and pepper, hatch chili, and or cinnamon toast. They got tons of other flavors. Those are just some of the ones that stick out to me. But again, that's Chinook Seedery. Go check them out. Boys, we went today, Wednesday instead of Thursday, but we have a lot of news to talk about, given it's a day earlier. So let's jump right into it. Let's start off with I think that this has got to be the thing that everyone's talking about. Shohei Ohtani took the mound, and he did it before the All-Star break. I think that wows all of us. I'll speak for the group. Hagen, I'm going to start off with you. 28 pitches, including one that went over 100 miles an hour. What are our thoughts? Was this too early? It clearly doesn't seem like it was too early. How did you get to watch Shohei go?
I just was able to see the highlights, but it's awesome seeing him back there on the mound because we all know how good of a pitcher he is. I think he has almost a 3 flat ERA in his career. I mean, he's a top 15 to 20 pitcher, you could say, in all of Major League Baseball when healthy. And I think all of us were surprised. I think me and Ethan both said there's no way in hell he pitches before the All-Star break, and we both thought it was crazy that was even a question. But it's awesome to see him back out there. And the thing I think we didn't factor in is if he was going to have to go rehabbing, you have to take him off the Major League roster as a hitter. And you can't really do that with Shohei Ohtani. And the Dodgers, too, I think, especially with the injuries that they've had, they said, hey, we keep him on the roster now and he's a pitcher now. We get an extra roster spot, which is huge. And he's good enough, too. Why don't we just treat this as his rehab and we'll just go, whatever, inning build every single time out there because he's good enough. And they already use the openers anyways, so why don't you just Shohei Ohtani as an opener, especially if he's hit 100 miles an hour.
I mean, yeah, Shohei Ohtani threw 28 pitches. 13 of them were above 98 miles an hour. This guy hadn't pitched in 22 months. That's almost 2 years. And the fact that, I mean, granted, yeah, he got hit around a little bit, but the fact that the velocity was there, I think his slider on most models was like 22 or 23% better than league average. So, yeah, I mean, Shohei Ohtani on the mound is just great for the game of baseball. It makes the Dodgers that much better. And, yeah, I think it was definitely surprising that this guy was throwing, an inning before the All-Star break. I think a lot of people were in Hagen and I's boat, and it was like, there's no way in hell they'll probably do it, post All-Star break when some of their starters come back. But, I mean, yeah, Shohei Ohtani looked unbelievable despite giving up a run, and this stuff is still some of the best in Major League Baseball despite not pitching in a Major League game in 2 years.
Yeah, good stuff. Good for the game of baseball. I'll continuously say this. I just think that with Shohei Ohtani, like obviously he's a starting pitcher. Like he has awesome numbers. I'm not going to bore people going through his numbers. If you're curious, go through his baseball reference page. He can light up the radar gun. He clearly has earned a shit ton of wins as a starting pitcher. He clearly can go the distance in games. Maybe not at this moment, but in his career, he's a starter. Like his body build, he could start. I'm not calling for him to be a closer or a reliever just because. I'm just saying with an asset such as Shohei, and I hate even calling him an asset. He's a ball player. They have a large investment in him. I just think that maybe, use him more out of the bullpen. I don't know what Shohei wants to do. Maybe he does want to start. But again, it's just, risk reward. And obviously the Dodgers have a lot of injuries right now, so they need to play him. You paid the guy, so I get that they have to use him. I'm just cautious about how I approach him, especially in fantasy leagues where he's hitter, pitcher split. I don't know if he's going to be earning you wins and quality starts right away. That requires him going 6 innings. So,
well, I think that's a great point too. Like there were other public analysts that said the exact same thing, and granted, some of them said that they didn't even want him to pitch ever again just because of how valuable he is with the bat. But yeah, I could definitely see Shohei towards the back half of his career with the Dodgers just being a very high leverage, ninth inning guy. If Shohei Ohtani is sitting 98 miles an hour, the guy's probably going to be sitting 100, 101 if he's going to be throwing in the 8th or 9th inning. So, yeah, I can totally see that, and I don't think that's a crazy take. I think that's a lot of take that some other people have had as well. So, I mean, you'd rather have a healthy Shohei Ohtani hitting 40, 50 plus home runs a year than potentially having him go out there as a starter in still years down the line and potentially risking another injury. So I definitely can see that.
And just to touch on your point too, Ethan, about the stuff, how it was there. I mean, the fastball sat. He only threw 9 of them, but sat 99.1. All 4 of the pitches he threw. Granted, it was only one splitter in there. Every pitch graded out above average, with the splitter and the sweeper grading out a full standard deviation above the mean. I mean, the stuff was there for sure. The velocity was there, but especially off Tommy John, we saw a guy like Sandy who's just starting to get his control there a little bit. Like it's going to take a while. You can't expect, even when he's built up to whatever 5-6 innings to go, can't just expect him to go out there and give you a 2.5 ERA. Like it's gonna take some time to get back. And granted, yeah, he's came off surgery. It's been a little bit longer. I believe it's like a year and a half now. It's been a little bit longer than the typical guys on those paths, but still give him some time to ramp up, because this is technically a rehab start if you want to think about it that way.
I mean, how many guys post TJ their first appearance are topping 100 miles an hour? There's guys that take multiple starts, let alone an inning, to build up to that. So I mean, there's nothing that this guy can't do on a baseball field. He's the only player in Major League Baseball you could say that about. It's unbelievable what he's able to do on a nightly basis.
Yeah, I agree. He's truly one of a kind. And we're, it's an awesome time to be a baseball fan and to get to watch Shohei Ohtani. It's like, dude, I think Shohei Ohtani and Judge are like, they are the Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth of our generation, right? They're the best players, and they're not going anywhere in terms of conversation of their talent level. For the next few generations, we'll be lucky to see anyone as good as these two.
100%.
Like, these guys came on the league and took it by storm. Like, Shohei came from Japan. Judge got a late start. They did not come up the traditional way of minors, super talented. Well, I shouldn't say the traditional way. They didn't come up the way of a Fernando Tatis Jr. or like a Bryce Harper, where it's like early draft pick, first, called up at what age was he? Was he a teenager, Bryce Harper, when he got the call? He was super
19, I believe.
Yeah, like Judge and Ohtani, neither of them came up that way, and they're putting up such historic numbers in their prime right now that they're putting up like numbers that will get them in the Hall of Fame. And they had a late start to playing in the league. They're that good. We could jump though. We need to talk about Boston. Ethan, I'm going to let you start in on this one. Boston has had a lot go on. So our last episode, Devers was freshly traded. Craig Breslow, following the trade, says there's a real chance the Red Sox could win more after this deal, which I think is kind of like a BS statement, because it's like, you think you could win more. How would you ever prove that without a simulation that you're actually going to win more without the impact of Devers? But you have that going on. You have David Ortiz saying the Red Sox deserve the benefit of the doubt with the Devers trade. So he's defending them. I think I saw Manny Ramirez was actually against the Red Sox in this move. He was more player friendly. And then on top of that, you look at, Devers, Mookie Betts, and Chris Sale, all three really, really good players. Mookie Betts is arguably one of the top 5 players in the league right now. And overall, and has been for the last few years. He'll be a Hall of Famer with Judge and Shohei. Who have they received in those deals? Vaughn Grissom, Alex Verdugo, Connor Wong, Jeter Downs, Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, James Tibbs III, and Jose Bello. Guys, Ethan, what's your thought on Boston's move here? And now that we've had some time to digest that Rafael Devers is a San Francisco Giant. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, shout out Jeter Downs. I have not heard any news on Jeter Downs in probably the last 2 years since his first career home run at Yankee Stadium. There's so many angles we could take on it. I mean, Hagen and I were literally in a space until 3:30 a.m. talking about the Devers situation. In terms of the Red Sox future-wise, I could definitely see that, only because, granted, in a right now mode, I don't think this makes the team better. I've said it to Hagen. I've said it to you, Brett. There is not a hitter on the team that is even sniffing the production of Rafael Devers. And in terms of any player in the league put on the Red Sox, I think Rafael Devers in that situation is still a one-of-a-kind bat. This is a guy that you build around. He's still 28 years old. If you take out the first month of the season, he's been a top 20 hitter in Major League Baseball in terms of WRC plus, I believe. But yeah, you get his $250 million off the books. You can allocate that money to upgrading potential things around the team. I understand the argument about the war value in terms of a DH. I will counteract that with saying how many bats in the league are going to guarantee you 30, 100, and right around a 900 OPS. And I think you can maybe list off the top of your head maybe five. And of those five, some of those guys aren't doing that kind of on a yearly basis. And also, people don't take into account look how much better Rafael Devers makes an offense even when it's trash. I mean, Rafael Devers could put up a 120 WRC plus this year, let's say with the Giants for the rest of the year. Everyone around him, Heliot Ramos, Yastrzemski, Matt Chapman, Willie Adames, they're going to be so much better because the main guy that you cannot let beat you in that lineup now is Rafael Devers. So in terms of the defensive value, I get it. He's a lot for DH. This is also a guy that just said he's willing to play, I think, first and third with the Giants now.
Anywhere.
But also to the Red Sox credit, I think it was bad for both sides. I think Rafael Devers could have handled it a little bit differently. I know that he was refusing, meetings, not taking ground balls and stuff like that. But I think Rafael Devers knew he was probably getting moved. Buster Posey said it last night on the broadcast. This was something that was going weeks and weeks. It wasn't just something that happened in the blue. This was like a 3 or 4 week process that was in the making. There's so many different angles to look at it, but in terms of right now, the Red Sox are not better off in terms of the right now moment. Later down the road, I could definitely see they have more money to spend elsewhere, and they have good bats developing on the team now in terms of Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, Marcelo Meyer, and if they keep a guy like Willie Abreu. But just to me, it's a very, very confusing move, and I think it's a great move in general for the San Francisco Giants. It really, broadens up the lineup when there hasn't been a 30-plus home run hitter there since Barry Bonds in 2004.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you too there with the point, like how Breslow was saying that there's a real chance they have more wins after he's gone. He's a GM. He has to say that. He can't come out there and say, I think he like that. So I think that one's getting a little too much run out there in the media too much, where it's like, what else do you want to do to say? Like, this deal was obviously meant for the long term, not this year of the Boston Red Sox. And he's not. He can't just say, "Oh yeah, we're going to lose a little bit more games this year." No, he's going to be confident in his team, what he did. And with the money, that's the big thing. Is I don't think the Red Sox really earned the benefit of the doubt with they haven't really dished out that many big contracts the last few years. And so if you're going to get out of this Devers money, it's one thing if you're going out there and you're spending that money out there on another player. Like, let's say after Kyle Tucker, I know their outfield's clogged, but just someone go get a superstar like that, or maybe you resign Alex Bregman long term, Pete Alonso, whatever. If you spend the money that you got out of with the Devers contract, spend it on a better contract, maybe that's one thing. It's a complete other thing if you're just gonna do a couple small pre-arb extensions and then you still save money. That's when it's like I'm gonna look at the Red Sox and I'm gonna be a little pissed off at how things are run. I think that I wouldn't be more mad about Breslow. I'd be more mad about John Henry from that aspect, especially when he's with Liverpool. He's signing a bunch of huge contracts.
Yeah, and granted too, trust me, I totally get the situation different with Devers than with the Mookie Betts and the Chris Sale situation. But like, just like think about it. There's been 3 major staples that led this team to a world championship, and they got rid of them. What does it say to guys that want to go sign there? If I'm going to the Boston Red Sox now, there is a full no trade clause in my contract. I'm not going to go to a city for 3 or 4 years, start a family, start a new life, new house, new friends, and everything, and then just get shipped out. And I just think it even what is the message to a guy like Christian Campbell did just get the extension, but Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, it's like, wow, like Rafael Devers literally just signed a $313 or $15 million contract over 11 years, and he gets shipped out 2 or 3 years later after that. It's like this guy was supposed to be the focal point of the Boston Red Sox lineup and potential runs for more world championships in the future, and he gets shipped out. So very mixed messages. The situation, you could look at it a bunch of different ways, and I don't think you'd be right or wrong on both, but it's a tough situation. And granted, I think all of you feel the same way. This was the most shocked I've ever seen in a trade in sports other than Luka Doncic. Other than that, because the Mookie trade, there was a lot of rumors before Mookie Betts got traded. I didn't hear a lick about Rafael Devers being moved before he got moved.
No, there wasn't really any. It was just kind of assumptions like, oh, with the bad relationship, could this guy get moved? And even to like on the return when you just went over Brett, I think when you lump it together with the Mookie Betts trade, that was obviously an awful trade. I don't think they got a single piece who's even in the organization anymore. Or sorry, Connor Wong maybe, but I think if you're gonna link the Devers one up there too, because then it just combines it obviously and it makes it look not good at all. You trade away Devers, Mookie Betts. I think people also you have to remember that you also got to have $250 million. You can't just say you got these players back. And I know that's like that. I'm defending Breslow there a little bit. Like I know I would much rather have Devers on my team and just. I mean, you're the Boston fucking Red Sox. You should be able to pay a DH $250 million. You shouldn't have to be. Let's get out of this contract.
Well, even think about it of the perspective is this team has been looking for a splash bat for the last 4 years. They missed out on Judge, they missed out on Soto, they were in the Ohtani sweepstakes, and they finally got their guy. And I get the F4 value, I get the WAR per dollar value, I get all of it. Trust me, we look at stats all day long and kind of think in that way. Anthony Santander was a guy that just hit 40 plus home runs last year. This guy has a sub 600 OPS. So going out and signing these guys for 18 to 20 plus $million, granted they have some more positional value, I think any team right now, DH or not, would pay a guy 22 to 24 plus $1 million if you're going to slot in 30 plus home runs and 100 plus RBIs. I think it's a no-brainer, especially when I said it the other day to you, Hagen, specifically. There was no way in hell Rafael Devers was not going to at least go and play first or third with the Giants. There's no way. So the $25 million for the DH kind of narrative, I don't think is going to really happen because I think Rafael Devers will play the field over the course of his career. I think there's no doubt about it.
And I think we do have to hit on this one too. It's the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees losers of 5 straight. They just went 28 consecutive innings without scoring a run. They just got. I mean, Kyle Hendricks just struck out 8 against them. I believe 5 scoreless. Not 9. It's been rough times for the Yankees. And Brett, obviously, you're the Yankee fan here. Have you caught any of the games? And what do you think about the Yankees? Obviously, this cold streak. Obviously, it starts with Aaron Judge. He just went 15 strikeouts and 22 at bats, and it seemed like once Judge got cold, the whole offense got cold.
Yeah. No, good question. And sharing the standings real quick. I'm not going to keep them up, but Yankees are now only 2.5 games up on Tampa. That's how bad this last week's been. Aaron Judge, he's still Aaron Judge, but like you said, he got cold. And that's my concern with this team. They're still the same team of the last 3 years. It's a fraudulent team with guys who have a lot of potential. And there's a lot of former MVPs. There's a lot of guys who could have like their day and hit 5 home runs in a day. Not actually, but you know what I mean? Like Goldschmidt has his day. Stan has his days. We just don't put it together like a good team like often enough. Like Jason Dominguez, we like him, Jazz Chisholm. You think about all these names on the Yankees. Andy Volpe's having a better year right now. But they follow suit, and it's almost like if the mood in the room is down, they all get down on themselves. Like, oh, Judge struck out, like now we all have to strike out. It's like, no, like other people could step up. Jazz Chisholm, people were talking about Jazz Chisholm hitting north of 40 home runs before the season started. I know like he got injured and missed some time, and probably not going to happen. But like Jazz Chisholm's not hitting 40 home runs this year. Plain and simple. I think that the Yankees, they play to their competition. I truly do. Like they lost last night to the Angels. The Angels are, and they got shut out to the Angels. Like
Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Brett, I don't think you could have explained it any better. And I think the offense going into this year was a huge question mark. Like, just in my opinion, I don't even think it's a bias. I'm not getting scared of Jason Dominguez, Anthony Volpe, Austin Wells, Ben Rice, who has not been good over the last couple of weeks, and Giancarlo Stanton coming back. DJ LeMahieu still getting playing time. Oswaldo Pro. Like, I don't see that. I don't. Jazz, too. Is Jazz really going to stay healthy over the course of his career with the Yankees?
What's going to piss me off? Before the season started, I said that they should go after Nolan Arenado. Try and trade for him right now. You need a third baseman. Play Jazz at second, Volpe at short, LeMahieu Goldie at first, and let LeMahieu platoon. And they didn't go get Arenado. Now I think they're either going to end, like they're going to whiff on getting Brandon Lowe, like a real impact bat at this point in his career. And they're going to like overpay the Cardinals for Arenado or some shit like that. And it's going to piss me off. But yeah, and it's going to piss me off because it's like a guy who like, oh, he could hit 20 or 24 home runs in a season, but is he doing that with the Yankees? Is he doing that right now in his career? And I think like the Yankees have too many times trying to add guys who are out of their prime rather than focusing on development. And I actually didn't get a lot of love from this one on a Yankees tweet the other day, but it was like John Boy was tweeting about like, what's the Yankees problem right now? And I literally said the farm system. We don't develop enough in-house talent. And the other half of it is like we spend a huge budget. Unlike the Dodgers, they spend a huge budget, but they're able to replicate and produce guys that are valuable in the lineup that they're not paying. The Yankees don't seem to really do that often, where it's like Goldschmidt, not in-house. Jazz Chisholm, not in-house. You look at Bellinger. You look at Giancarlo Stanton, Garrett Cole. You see my point here. Yeah, you can say Luis Heel, Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is one in a million type player that they got. And like that, like, come on. Like Volpe is not what everyone expected him to be at this point. And people had way higher hopes. And Jason Dominguez, Lord have mercy on that boy. Like he had way too heavy of, expectations from age 16. He was like being called the Martian, but it's like, did we ever see him verse like a slider that goes 96 miles an hour in the MLB? No, like it was just, it's a lot, but we need more. And I've got to stop saying we. Dean's going to shit on me. The Yankees need to simply like focus on in-house development. I think that's where they should spend some of their investments. They're cold. And on the optimistic side, I'd rather them be cold right now than come September. Like get it out of your system now. But I think this shows they need an infield bat and they need it stat. They need to go acquire a Brandon Lowe, maybe a Marcus Semien from the Rangers if they decide to become sellers. I would love to see that. Like just get someone who could be a real impact bat. For Eugenio Suarez from the Diamondbacks, they might become sellers. These are guys the Yankees need to get, guys in their prime right now. Like Brandon Lowe, dude, Ethan, you and I are probably two of the bigger Brandon Lowe fans out there. I love Brandon. I have him in every fantasy league. I love Brandon Lowe.
I know we just talked about the Rays being down 8-0 today. Brandon Lowe just tied the game with a 2-run home run.
Jeez, love that.
Could be a Rays episode another day, but
the other optimistic thing I'll say about the Yankees, even though given the few losses that they sustained over the last 5-6 days, look at the scores. 4-0 yesterday to the Angels, 1-0 the day before that, and they lost in 11 innings. 2-0 to the Boston Red Sox, 4-3 to the Boston Red Sox, 2-1 to the Boston Red Sox. All those were losses. They kept every one of these teams under 5 runs. Like the pitching did its job, and the pitching has been doing its job all season, given the fact they don't have Luis Heel. They don't have Garrett Cole. They've had Luke Weaver enter the IL. They've had Jonathan Loaizaga come back late from the IL.
Stroman?
Yeah, Stroman, dude, with that knee injury. But you know what I mean? They've had every reason to give up and punt on pitching, and they haven't, and it's been the backbone of this team for sure. But we'll jump. We're going to jump. Too much Yankees talk and negativity. I'm getting sad. Let's talk about players to be dealt at the deadline. So The Athletic put out a good article. They ranked their top 50 players. I'm not going through 50. I just put like the top 10 guys who are like most likely based off contracts and situation to get dealt. So Jarren Duran was on this list. Guys, is this crazy?
No, I think Jarren Duran is built to be a San Diego Padre at this point.
So what's Boston like? Who's the outfield for Boston? It'd be Wilyer Abreu was on this list too, and we'll just knock him out in the same conversation. Those are 2 outfielders. And if Campbell's playing second or first, wherever he's volunteering to play these days, what is the outfield? I guess they're relying on Yoshida.
I think you'd probably say Yoshida DH, you go Wilyer right, Rafaela center, Roman Anthony left. But then who fills in if one of those guys goes down again? That's my question is. But I also get you can't really just keep Yoshida in AAA or if he's hurt still. I don't really know. I feel like I haven't heard anything about that dude at all this year. Like I kind of forgot he was on the team.
I get my Yoshida news from Cutter is King at this point. I think he's still hurt. So.
Yeah, but I don't know about Duran. He's an interesting one. I know a lot of Red Sox fans have said that in this logjam of outfield, he seems like the odd one out. And like you said, the Padres, they've been looking for a left fielder. AJ Preller isn't afraid to just dump some prospects for him, some good prospects as well. I think there'd be a lot of teams be interested in Jarren Duran. I mean, he's still only 20. He's going to turn 29 here in a few months. And he's still got he's got a club option for $8 million next year. And then he's still got Arbor 3 and Arbor 4 after that. So he's not a free agent until 2029. So you could still get a good amount of value for him.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Padres, and I think that's like a match made in heaven. I mean, imagine that outfield with him, Tatis, and Merrill, and you got Xander Bogaerts, Luis Arias, Manny Machado. Like, that's 6 crazy names. And from the Red Sox side too, Jarren Duran's going to be 29 years old. I think last season is probably by far the best season we'll ever see from him. And if you're just looking at a pure age perspective, I don't think Jarren Duran is going to be the guy that they build around turning 29 next year, in my opinion.
You know who should deal for Jarren Duran? The Pittsburgh Pirates. Dude, it's a controllable high level bat, and you have all the pitching in the world right now with Keller, Skeens, and dude, I think you can move Bubba Chandler. Like, he's right now low, like he hasn't been playing well. I don't know if he's a little injured right now, Bubba Chandler, but like, you seem to be a pitching factory, Pittsburgh. Like, why not take a shot at like going to get Duran for, like, clearly Boston wants pitching. They just moved their best player for 2 like pitchers that I wouldn't even say are worth Bubba Chandler. I think Chandler is more interesting than Kyle Harrison or Jordan Hicks. Call me crazy.
I don't think I could have guessed you were going to say the Pittsburgh Pirates right there. That surprised me. I see your sense though, because it is a guy who has 3-4 years out of team control. That won't be too expensive. Like, I see the sentiment there, but I don't know if I go Bubba Chandler for Jarren Duran at this point, just for what Bubba Chandler can be.
No, and even too, like, I think the Pirates is a good shout, but also I wouldn't trust Bob Nutting as a package handler at UPS at this point. The direction of the team is so bad, and that would be a great asset for them to get. But I mean, we're having concerns about this team building around Paul Skeens. I don't see that. I think the Padres are a perfect match. This is a team that has a great high octane offense, and what better to add a guy like Jarren
Duran? I do think too, a team that could possibly be in there. I think the Mets could be. I don't want to be a homer and say that, but I mean, they do need a center field. I know Benj is one of their top prospects, is playing really well. He's going to fly out prospect rankings, stuff like that. But I think Duran's age fits kind of the window right now with Lindor being 31 years old. You have Alonso. You don't know how much longer he's going to be on the team if you re-sign him or anything. So young Soto. I think the Mets could be kind of a sleeper team, but I don't think they would go out and give all the prospects in the world to get him. But there'd definitely be a few teams that I think we have a good amount to get Jarren Duran on their team.
Yeah, and like Duran could help a lot of teams out. I'm not a big Duran fan. There's a difference between cockiness, and attitude. I think he does have a little bit of an attitude to him. I don't know the guy. I just see what I see on TV. Let's be real. But he seems to me like he's just kind of not nice. I don't know. I don't know if he'd be like a deterrent in the locker room at all. I've never heard that about him. But it just seems to me like he could help out most teams, but it's got to be the right fit is what I'm getting at. Like they need whoever's acquiring him needs a guy with an edge. And I think the Pirates need a guy like the Pirates do. I think that the Reds could use someone. Like the Reds have a lot of pitching. They can move players to the Red Sox out of the league, out of the division. It's not, for Duran. I think that you move an Andrew Abbott or something like that for Duran, you can get a deal done. And that's a high level bat for the Reds, who are in a winnable NL Central right now. I think right now the Reds are 7 games back. We're not even at the All-Star break. The Cubs do have a commanding lead with 6.5 games up on Milwaukee, but the Reds have talent. They have Ellie De La Cruz. They got other pieces, and McLean's had a miserable season so far from when he has played. So I think he can only go up from there. And you got Christian Encarnacion. Sorry.
I know one team that I think it's obvious. It hasn't really been mentioned for Jarren Duran. What superstar team right now has a pretty bad problem in left field? It's going to be the Dodgers.
Don't say it.
I think the Dodgers right now could easily go get a guy like Jarren Duran. Dude, they have a log jam of prospect talent right now. And honestly, their farm system this year was almost slept on. This farm system with the production that they've been getting is stupid. If you want to go and look at like their top 6, every one of these, my cat, every one of these guys has been unbelievable. And if there is a team that is in need of another impactful bat that can man down any position in the outfield, given Jarren Duran can do left, center, and right. I think if there's a team that's willing to maybe control him over the course of his career, and a team that has the prospect capital to do it, I think a team like the Dodgers could even be in there as well. I haven't seen anything kind of mentioning that, but he's a freak athlete. Yes, he's 29, which is still definitely old, and I think his best career season will by far be last year, but it'd be huge for that team.
I think another guy on this list I want to bring up is Sandy Alcantara. I think he's one that it's kind of different now because he struggled. Obviously, his last 2 starts has been great. Granted, it was the White Sox and the Rockies, so let's see him against a real baseball team, and then we'll kind of see if he's figured it out or not. But I think the team I love for him the most, Chicago Cubs. The Cubs need a pitcher. I mean, if you're going into the playoffs right now, you'll have Shota and Matthew Boyd your number 2. Like, Matthew Boyd's great. I love Matthew Boyd, but I don't like Matthew Boyd as a 2 in the playoffs. I think he's more of a 5 and dive guy. If you just don't get a Sandy Alcantara, I mean, he'd be huge for this team. I mean, it's not like you just have him for this year, too. I mean, you still have next year and a club option. I mean, only $21 million for a club option of a guy like Sandy, who would then be 2 years, 3 years removed from Tommy John surgery. I mean, we're seeing Sandy start to get it going a little bit. And he's only 29 years old, too. I mean, we got to give these guys a little leniency when they're coming back from Tommy John surgery to, like, let's not overreact. I mean, Spencer Strider just struck out 13. I admittedly was talking about Spencer Strider was downhill. I was like, he's not the same Spencer Strider. Does that 2 days later. So we got to cut these guys some leniency a little bit when they come back from injuries. And I think Sandy to the Cubs would be a perfect move for him.
I mean, yes, Sandy to the Cubs would be absolutely fantastic. I said to both of you guys the other episode, you can make a case for an all Cubs, all-star outfield. And in terms of their infield, Matt Shaw, Dansby Swanson, Nico Horner, Michael Busch, and Carson Kelly sneakily, I think, still has a WRC plus over 140. Like, that's their entire offense. Another team I've kind of seen, I think the Boston Red Sox. I think that would be a great fit for them. If you had Garrett Crochet and Sandy Alcantara and Brian Bayo, I know Brett's like, fuck, that would be horrible.
I just threw up in my mouth thinking about that. That's terrible. Like, and I brought that up to Hagen. I think not even on the show, just like we talked about Sandy Alcantara options and like, will he get moved? Because he still has 2 years of control after this year?
Yeah, he's got next year for $17.3 million and then a club option in 2027 for $21 million, which is you're picking that up for Sandy.
Yeah, and like Peter Bendix, he's a smart guy. He does not need to move a guy who could be a top 5 pitcher in baseball right now. And like Bendix is from the Rays organization. You know this well, Ethan. Like he might just hold on and figure I could get more, more juice out of the squeeze next year and move him when he still has a year of control and he's pitching lights out and he's fully recovered. And I can go, move to the Cubs then and ask for Owen Casey, and I could ask for Cade Horton or whatever, what have you. I don't know how that deal looks, but you know what I mean? He could ask for more prospects than, hey, we had a guy who just got Tommy John who's looked okay versus 2 bottom feeder teams. Like it's a tough time unless Sandy goes on a roll here from here till the deadline. I think it'll be really hard to sell him for top dollar, even though I think I'll speak for myself, but I think we all agree when Sandy's on, he's a top 5 pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, and even just real quick point before we probably go on to the next guy, I think Sandy's one of those rare pitchers where it's just like you look at stuff. I think the results have been there the last 3-4 years. It's the guy that's won the Cy Young Award pretty unanimously. I don't think anyone was even in the ballpark. As long as Sandy's dotting 100, which we've seen this year, and the stuff is still in play, like I said, I think he's one of those rare pitchers where results are not and the stuff is there. He's still one of the best pitchers in baseball. And granted, he's coming back off a major arm surgery.
Another guy on this list that I think is a very interesting one to talk about is Zach Gallen, because it's looking more and more likely, especially if the Devils start the Giants, that the Diamondbacks are probably going to sell. I think that's what we would all lean right now. And Zach Gallen is a good – going into the year, you thought Zach Gallen was going to get a bag, get maybe $150, $200 million contract. He's got the fourth worst ERA rating among qualified pitchers. He's got a 5.12. Like, for Zach Gallen's terms, he's been awful. So who's going out there and trading for a Zach Gallen? I know there's a lot of teams that would, but what are you giving up for a Zach Gallen at this point? Because you're only getting him till the end of the season. You're not –
You know who I think could go get him? I think the Giants might try and go get Gallen. They're going all in. They clearly are for this year. Like, why not? The Giants are good. Dude, they're interdivision trade. They're currently only 3.5 games back. The Dodgers are down in terms of injuries. The Giants just got Devers. They have Chapman, who will be back at some point. Who's to say? You know, they got Robbie Ray. They got some nice little arms in there. And, like, they still have Hayden Birdsong, who is a young, intriguing pitcher for them. Not everyone knows him, but I think Hayden Birdsong had like 2 or 3 games last year with double-digit strikeouts. He was just as intriguing to me in the offseason as like a Spencer Arrighetti, who was lights out to start the season before he got injured. And who says, Birdsong can't be that? But that'd be cool. The one other guy I'd like to talk about, I think his name is just super intriguing, and we can't not talk about Luis Robert Jr. getting moved. It's like the elephant in the room that Robert Jr. is going to get moved somewhere. I brought up the Royals before. I think they could use some pop in the outfield, especially like their outfield is not good at hitting. I'll be straightforward with that one. I don't know if the Royals have the prospects to pay up for Robert Jr. That being said, I don't think he's going to cost the prospect investment that he would have cost 2-3 years ago.
No.
Where do you guys see him being a good fit?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dodgers again. I see the Dodgers.
Stop.
I see the Dodgers addressing left field. I really do. I think there's been holes there. Anipah has looked great in center. He could play kind of everywhere, but I think the Dodgers really make a huge move. And the Giants have been like their little brother. They go out and get Rafael Devers. I think we're going to be post All-Star break, and we're going to be talking about this. I think the Dodgers are about to hit the whole league with a hold my beer type of moment to the San Francisco Giants. And
I mean,
yeah, really quick on the Gallen thing before your thoughts on Robert Hagen. I think Gallen could easily be a guy that goes to the Baltimore Orioles if they're not selling. They've been one of the hottest teams in baseball over the last 2.5 weeks. If he's going into potentially free agency, look for Baltimore to kind of get a guy like that.
On the Luis Robert thing, this one's such a hard one because Ethan, me and you have been in plenty of debates. It feels like every few weeks about what do you pay for Luis Robert? Is he bad? Is he just not like if he goes to a contending team, is he going to like pick it up or is he just a bad player? Because it's been close to 200 games of just garbage baseball from him. He has not been good. He's been a very below average hitter, but he plays good defense and he runs the bases well. But he always has the tools. He's going to get together. 2 teams that stand out to me: NL, the Phillies. I think the ones I've been linked for a few years now. I just think a Dabrowski would do a move like that to just at least take a shot in the center field. I know they already have the defense with Rojas out there, but if you could add Luis Robert to that lineup and he starts mashing, that Philly team becomes a lot more dangerous. And the American League, I think a team that I feel like would take a shot on him because they just need any sort of offense whatsoever is the Seattle Mariners. I mean, even if Robert turns out 100 WRC plus, 105 WRC plus, that's helping the Mariners. I know Kick Dirt Baseball's talked about like maybe a Harry Ford could be on the move for him. It's just hard because I think there's a lot of teams that would want Robert, but it's just what do you value him at? It's such a hard question.
Yeah, I will say I think Luis Robert probably has the most overinflated trade value stock I've seen in a player in a long time. Like some of the mock trades I see for Luis Robert right now are crazy considering this guy has not been good for almost 2 years now. I think, not speaking for everyone, me personally, I think he'll be fantastic outside of Chicago. I think he'll kind of get the winning philosophy back and allow him to play better baseball. But I think the value I don't think you would really have to give up too much for Luis Robert.
I'm so fascinated. Like he is, I don't know if I've ever been this fascinated to see a player's trade value. I've wanted to see what is he going to go for? What's he going to cost the team? Because it's been even last year at the deadline when he wasn't playing good and it was only for half a season. It was like, all right, what would he go for if he got dealt? And now he's just not played good for a year and a half. And it's All right, he hasn't really picked it up, but I mean, he's stealing the bases. He's up there at the major league lead. But I'm so intrigued to see what he did because I'm with you too, Ethan. I think getting out of Chicago on a team that you're pretty much expecting to lose every single day for a year and a half now, show him to the ballpark. I think it'll play wonders. I think he's just a huge change of scenery candidate.
I have just a few words, and Brett, you can go. Look at Gavin Sheets.
Yeah.
Put him in a decent offense with some pieces where he's not the number one. I mean, right now, 2 seconds. Right now, Luis Robert Jr., and maybe with Miguel Vargas, is the guy that you're circling right now. You can't let him beat you. Imagine when he is the 5th name that you're circling, he'd get a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, and I already highlighted Eugenio Suarez. I don't think Wilyer Abreu is going to get moved. Naylor, it really depends if the Diamondbacks become sellers or not, and how much they sell. That's also a big question because they're a talented ball club. Let's not forget the Diamondbacks went to the World Series 2 years ago. Like they have one of the most electric offenses when everything's clicking. With Suarez, Naylor, Corbin Carroll, Marte, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Trying to think who else I'm forgetting out there, but they have some bats, they have some names, so we'll see how much of a seller the Diamondbacks come. I do think being 8 games back behind the Giants and the Padres and the Dodgers in the West, and with they were doing so hot while Corbin Burns was there, and I don't think he's a direct reason why they might fall this season. But losing a guy you just paid a lot of money to be your ace and come in, especially middle of the season, it's hard to recover from. It's hard to recover from, and just a shame that Corbin Burns didn't really get to play a full season with the Diamondbacks. I liked him way better with the Diamondbacks, a team willing to make moves rather than the Baltimore Orioles. So we'll see how that all goes. The deadline's coming up. What do we got? Like 5 weeks to the deadline? Not even
6 weeks, maybe, to the deadline.
Okay, so
it's like a little bit less than a month and a half now.
Yeah, I would love to see more teams be active in trading earlier. You think teams would too, just because hey, when if we think we're going to get better, we're going to win more games the earlier we make that move. With that move being the intent, and obviously teams want to hold to get the most potential trade value possible, because when you're desperate, everyone knows you'll pay your weight in gold to get a plate of food.
Yeah,
if you're
we
starving.
talked about it earlier in the show, but I think the Rafael Devers move is going to accelerate the trade deadline, especially in the National League. Like I said, the Dodgers don't have a huge lead. Their pitching is extremely bleak right now. They have 14 guys on the IL just in the rotation, which is crazy to even say that. And look for a team like the Padres. Like, Padres are still criminally slept on. They got disrespected a lot in the offseason. And I think this team is still really good if they can go get a guy like Jarren Duran, or maybe even add a guy to the rotation.
Yeah. No. Well said. And I hope so. It'll give us a lot more fun stuff to talk about these next few weeks outside of baseball in general, just moves and deals being done. Let's jump quickly. I'm going to try and run through the injury list here. Just some notes from the games this week. Logan Gilbert for Seattle. He came back from the injured list. They didn't win the Mariners. They lost 2-0 to Boston, but Logan Gilbert had 10 strikeouts against Boston, who seems to be red hot without Devers. So baseball still doesn't make sense. You got Roki Sasaki. They're hitting pause on his recovery. There's no timetable to resume throwing. Don't like hearing that news, but that's at it. Dave Roberts, the manager, said this. So we'll see, and this is obviously why Ohtani's got to start pitching, because you got Snell, you got Glass now, you got Roki Sasaki on the IL. Emmett Sheehan, I think, just got back. River Ryan, who got injured last year, he's not an option to call up. I'm trying to think. Tony Gonsolin went down, correct? And Dustin May's there, but they just have so many injuries. It's not a good sign.
I mean, pretty much any Dodgers pitcher you could name is.
Yeah. Except Dustin May. That's the only one who's been the injured guy for years. And now he's
hard. It would be hard to name a healthy Dodger starting pitcher at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Jackson Merrill, he had a concussion, so 7-day IL for him. He got this one sliding in the second on Saturday's game. Giancarlo Stanton was activated for the Yankees. Great news. There were talks last month that he might be done for the year, and now he's back. He was dealing with tennis elbow in both arms, which is crazy to hear about. I don't know how you do that.
That's not even like I'm not even laughing due to the injury. That's like the most Giancarlo Stanton thing I've ever heard.
Oh yeah. The Yankees also reliever Jake Cousins hasn't pitched an MLB game this year. Excuse me. He was already on the 60-day IL. He's now having Tommy John. He's going to be out until late next season. And this is like, I hate this. And I feel like the Yankees, I don't know his exact story, but I feel like the Yankees always flirt with the line. I know it's not on them always. Like the player gets to make final say if you're going to, take him to the knife or not. But the Yankees always wait on these Tommy Johns. It's like if he didn't play a game this year, something was up. Why was and I'm sure Tommy John was in consideration when that happened. Why not do it before the season? Just like the season's gone. Now it's like this season's gone and you're gone most of next season due to the same injury that's been lingering. So hate to see that. I just wanted to bring it up. Lance McCullers Jr., he needs to find a way to get off this IL list. The only time we've talked about Lance McCullers Jr. in the last 3-4 years, outside of his last start for the World Series, what was that,
2022?
It has been a fan making threats to him and his family. So he's back on the IL again. This one was due to a weight room incident. He sprained his right foot. I hope he'll be back sooner rather than later, but this is a weird injury.
I mean, that's just Lance McCullers' luck. Like, it's just brutal, dude.
It is brutal. The Mets, they placed Tyler McGill on the 15-day IL with right elbow sprain. This is retroactive to June 15th. It's supposed to be pretty significant where they're saying he's going to miss a month to maybe 5 weeks. He has a sub-4 ERA in the season. Hagen, what starter is he in the rotation for the Mets typically? Is he like their 3 or 4?
5. He's
damn.
He's always good, and then once the calendar hits May, he's a 5 to a depth option every single year. It never changes.
So, okay, well, for depth purposes right now with the Mets, like this is not great. No. But sub-4 through June, that's pretty solid, I'd say. Even though, like, for a 5 starter, I'm shocked. That's why I'm like shocked that you said 5. I was like, what?
It's just he has the stuff to be a really good pitcher in this league. He just can't hold it together for very long, it seems like. And I love Tyler McGill. I always am a believer in him, but it just gets frustrating when it's every single time the calendar hits May or June, he just puts up a 5+ ERA for the rest of the year.
You're deflated talking about Tyler McGill right now.
Yeah.
So, my buddy, I don't know even that he realizes he does it, but like once in a while, he'll text me like once every 5 weeks during baseball season, and like he's a big baseball fan. He's an Oakland, not Oakland. He's an Athletics fan, I should say, and he just texted me. He goes, dude, Devers got traded from the Red Sox. And like, he's not like a big baseball fan. He's like a very casual fan. He's like, I just saw they play the Giants this week. Let's F them off. I'm just dying from that. Like, just shit talk. He does not like Boston. But we got Tyler Mahle he's been having a fantastic year, Mahle. And people think he was going to retrograde all year. He's finally injured, right shoulder fatigue. Kumar Rocker got called up. I highlighted this just because it was for Toronto, who's been really solid over the last month. Toronto is right there. They're 39-33, 3 games back in the AL East. And they just put two pitchers dropped from the active roster. Eric Swanson was designated for assignment. And Bowden Francis is put on the 15-day IL with a right shoulder impingement. That's no bueno, even though he's been not great, Bowden Francis. So we'll see how – I think the Blue Jays – that wouldn't shock me if they try and go after Alcantara, if they have some prospects to move to Miami. That they need pitching. I would like to see it. Colorado, Kyle Freeland went on the 15-day IL with lowered back stiffness. They activated Austin Gomber Sunday, and he started. So Colorado loses 1, gains 1 in the pitching department. Finally, this is weird because I didn't even hear about this. Anthony DeSclafani, he signed with the Yankees on a minor league deal. This happened a few weeks ago, and in my head, I was like, oh, nice. We got a veteran pitcher. We're going to call him up when we need someone. And then, like, didn't even see he opted out of the deal with the Yankees, and now he's with the Diamondbacks, which I don't get that move why you would leave the Yankees.
I had no idea that was even a thing.
Yeah, and DeSclafani's a solid pitcher when he's on. Like, obviously he's older now, but like for a guy like a playoff team who needs like a swing 6 or 7 starter, God forbid if someone goes down, like I liked having him in the minors as an option. So
I thought he was on San Francisco, to be completely honest.
No, I knew he was with the Yankees, but yeah, dude, Anthony Escofani, like 2-3 years ago, dude, this guy was unreal. Like, yeah, so I agree with Brett. Like, if he's like your 6th swing guy, like it's better than a guy like Carlos Carrasco. Like that, it's definitely not a bad option. Also,
Yeah.
real quick before next topic, I talked to you guys. The Rays were down 8-0. They're up 12-8 right now.
Shut up.
Who are they playing?
The Orioles. 8-0, and they scored 12 unanswered runs, bro.
The Rays right now are like the one team in baseball I think I would not want to play.
Dude, I never want to play that. I don't even want the Yankees to trade with them. I feel like every single time they're just going to best whoever their trade partner is. They're like, we're giving you Brandon Lowe. Well, you're going to give us a guy who's going to win a Cy Young in 3 years. Like that's just how the Rays operate. They wheel and deal.
It's like I can't even explain it, dude. I thought the game was over. I stopped watching the game, and I literally I'm like, throw up 12-8. It makes no sense right now.
Well, our next topic is the American League, and I'm talking about one thing in this segment. That one thing is Ryan effing Pepio. I've mentioned him recently on X. Ethan, I know you had a big piece on Pepio recently and big on him on X. Pepio, not only is he an Indiana boy, why we love Ryan Pepio. He went to Butler. 3.11 ERA through 89 and 2/3 innings this season. 84 strikeouts. He's almost got a 9-9 strikeout over inning ratio, however you want to word that. A 1.1 whip, and he started 15 games. He is a dog at 6'3", 210 pounds, in the middle of his prime right now at age 27. Guys, who wants to take this one? Ethan, you want to take this one to describe what Ryan Pepio has been doing this year?
I mean, dude, Ryan Pepio's last 8 or 9 starts have been magnificent. I think the funniest thing when looking at Ryan Pepio, this guy has a 3.23 ERA, almost around 300 career innings at this point. Like, this guy is just insanely slept on, has one of the best performing fastballs in Major League Baseball, gets around 20 to 21 inches of IVB. I think other than the last month of the season, his fastball was the highest run value fastball in Major League Baseball. It was borderline unhittable. And this guy was still extremely solid last year, and he didn't have feel for his changeup for 3/4 of the season. We're seeing him really blossom, and I know he's been going viral recently because of the Tyler Glasnow comparison. And I'll say it again, I don't know how the Rays do it. The trade and in-house player profile that they have for these guys is unbelievable. This guy has thrown more innings than Tyler Glasnow and has been better than Tyler Glasnow. And they have a guy like Johnny DeLuca who's going to be rehabbing it back with the team. So it borderline makes no sense. And just the production that we've been seeing the last, like I said, 8-9 starts with Ryan Pepio, this guy is like a fringe, number 2 starter on most MLB teams right now. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'd say he's a number 1 starter on probably 10 teams in baseball.
At least 10 teams. Yeah. 100%. That's
in fantasy right now. I'm just looking at his last few starts. In his since April 26th, he's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 quality starts out of 10 attempts, meaning he's gone 6 or more innings, 3 or less runs, and he's had 9 strikeouts, 11 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts, 7 strikeouts. This guy racks them up. For a guy who's not even known as a big strikeout guy, it's not, a strikeout per inning over 9, which is, if you're out of every 3 outs you get, if one of them is a strikeout, pretty good pitch, especially for a starter. You're not a closer where you're going to have a 14, strikeout ratio over 9. You're just not. But Pepio, didn't even realize he went to Westfield High School. That's I live here in Fishers. Westfield is right here. It borders us right there. So it's kind of cool. It just says Indianapolis, which I'm not in the city. I'm outside the city technically, so I'm not going to let I know my friends who do listen to the show, they'll give me shit about that, saying I'm a city boy. I'm not. Let's go to the National League though. So Hagen, you want to start us off with Zach Wheeler?
Yeah, so I mean, Zach Wheeler came out that he's planning to retire once his contract with the Phillies ends after the 2027 season, and this came as honestly a big surprise, especially because I don't remember last time I heard of like baseball players in general don't really announce retirements before unless you're a guy like Derek Jeter or something, and even then you're not really announcing it multiple years in advance. But I mean, he's 35 right now. By the time the contract ends, he's going to be 37. So knowing Wheeler's still a top 3 to 5 pitcher in Major League Baseball is kind of came as a surprise to me, especially just he's so dominant, and I don't think he's going to fall off a cliff by the time his contract ends. I think he's still going to be one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. So this really shocked me, but I think Wheeler. It seems like almost he's supposed to be a family man now. I mean, you're a Major League Baseball player. You don't really get to see your family that much. I mean, especially when you're having kids and you're getting older now. You don't get to spend much time with your family. You're traveling all the time now, so you have to do kind of respect this decision a little bit. And the Hall of Fame case thing, I think not pitching past this, I think this really hurts his Hall of Fame chances because he doesn't really have the hardware. I mean, I said it before that it's going to feel weird if Zach Wheeler retires without a Cy Young when it felt like he was a perennial, it seemed like one of the best pitchers, top 2 or 3 pitchers for like 5 6 years in a row. So it's just weird that I hope he gets a Cy Young here soon, but it's hard. Obviously, you got Paul Skeens now in the mix, but this really came as a surprise to, I think, everyone in baseball.
I think Zach Wheeler right now is like almost like a Jose Ramirez of pitchers, like a guy that like if there wasn't a certain guy in the league at the time would have won multiple Cy Youngs.
I kind of like that take, Ethan. I think he is kind of like the Jose Ramirez of like pitchers, like the guy who does it every year, never gets the credit as the top dog, and very well could be. He's probably the best playoff pitcher we have in baseball right now. Am I wrong?
Oh, and like you could argue top 5 playoff pitcher in history.
All time. Yeah, all time. It's not even a debate.
Yeah, and like Zach Wheeler, I did listen a little bit. People covering this. So my understanding, Zach Wheeler, yeah, a little unorthodox, but the guy's 35. By the time his contract's done, he'll be 37. I think he's kind of seeing what's going on with Verlander and Scherzer and other all-time greats here, like himself. Like he's a dog. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. And, you know, he's won a Gold Glove. He's been a strikeout leader for the National League. He's been all MLB first team, all MLB second team. He's a 2-time All-Star. He doesn't have the hardware yet. And the Phillies, I think they're going to have a really good shot the next 2 years to try and get something for him. But I'm pretty sure he has 4 kids. If I heard that or reciting that correctly, I think he's just looking forward to being a dad, which I love. You know, good for him. He's done his duty to baseball and he's played hard. You really don't hear about Zach Wheeler ever, complaining in terms of, in the news for bad things. You really just see him getting highlighted for being a dog. But he's got 4 kids. So, he's just moving on with his life. It's kind of interesting to see, but
I can't believe I never really. He's only a 2-time All-Star. Like that blows my mind,
dude. Because
I thought he was like a 6, 7-time All-Star.
And we can get into it. We actually should on a different episode, just because time already at almost an hour now. I want to talk about All-Star voting, like ways we can improve the system. Because like, how many times am I going to see Francisco Lindor get effed by them voting based off the first 60 games of the season or whatever it is?
Not this year. Not this year. 400,000 vote lead over Mookie Betts.
There we go. Nationals, they're calling up top hitting prospect Brady House to make his MLB debut. He was slashing 304, 353, and 519. Nationals, that is a team to look out for. Not this year, not necessarily next year, but in 2 years when it's like CJ Abrams, James Wood, Mackenzie Gore, Brady House, all these guys. And then you also, who am I forgetting about? Dylan Cruz once he gets it going. And then I'm forgetting one more name that's like a big
Robert Hassel, whatever he's gonna get you.
I wasn't thinking even Hassel. But Hassel is up there as a name as well. Who's their other pitching prospect that's supposed to be nasty? Didn't they get him in the Juan Soto deal? Wasn't there another pitcher from San Diego?
I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Susana.
There's Soroka.
Oh yeah, Mike Soroka. Are you talking Mike Soroka?
Susana, the guy that throws like 100 miles an hour, 101 miles an hour.
I think that's who I'm talking about. Yes. So they got a lot of young talent, the Nationals. I'm interested to see a play out. Michael Toglia, he got recalled from AAA. He's finally, the DFA Keston Hura, which is crazy that Toglia got DFA'd and well, not DFA'd. He got sent down and now he's back. But he came back and had
runs last night.
Yeah, he came back with a vengeance. So love to see that because a lot of people are on Toglia for fantasy this year, and hopefully he gets lucky some wins. Hagen, lead us to the miscellaneous here.
I mean, some more Philly news. I mean, Nick Castellanos was benched a few days ago, and just because the Phillies manager, he was saying he felt like he crossed the line with some comments after he got taken out of the game earlier before. And I mean, it was a Tuesday night's lineup. Tuesday night, he was taken out of the lineup against the Marlins. Comment he made on Monday after being pulled, and David Dabrowski didn't really, or sorry, not David Dabrowski. Rob Thompson said he didn't really like the way he felt like he crossed the line on him. So I think this is, obviously I don't know exactly what he said, but I think this is a manager that's just showing that, hey man, you got to have some respect here. You can't just be kind of shit talking me if I'm taking you out of a game, especially if it's for the betterment of the team. He's going to try to put the team in the best situation to win, but also I think it some shows that Nick Castellanos, I mean, it maybe comes not as a surprise by any means, but it shows that he still cares, that he wants to be out there, I think. But I don't think this is too big of an issue. Obviously, I'm not really involved with the Philly news, but I think it's just kind of a small story that seems bigger when it happens, but then in a week, no one's really going to think too much of it.
Did you hear the fan on the broadcast?
Mm.
Some random fan, when it was the quietest part in the Marlins game, granted it's probably always quiet there, he goes, he screamed, "Free Castellanos!" And even the managers were like, did some fan just scream "Free Castellanos"? Dude, it was so funny. And like you can clearly hear it in the broadcast, "Free Castellanos!"
That is awesome. That is awesome.
That's great.
Yeah,
I thought it was
and I agree with you, Hagen. This is I think it's going to get swept under the rug in a week. We're not even going to remember this. Castellanos acknowledged he's like, the manager made the call. It's his call. Like he seemed like very respectful. Like he was annoyed, but he's respectful that the manager made a call and he's going to go with it. What else is here? So, this is sad news. And guys, I did not get to read into this that much this morning when I saw it. I knew something was up when I first read what was going on. So for those who don't know, there was a jet ski accident down in Florida between a few Baltimore Orioles prospects. And originally what I read was at least 2 players were involved in a jet ski collision. This was Sunday night. So there was a postponement of the Florida Complex League games Monday, and the names and whatever the individuals, they weren't mentioned right away. And I thought that's a little weird. Usually these things come out. Turns out it's because at least I saw one. I don't know what happened with the other one yet. One of them passed away. Yeah, it was so, and I'll pull him up right now, but it was, did you guys hear anything more about this news with surrounding Luis Guevara? He was 19 years old. He's the only one I see that was killed in this accident.
I haven't seen anything additional, but just like thoughts and prayers go out to their families and just the victims of that, because that's it. I mean, it's awful. I mean, it's obviously he was 19 years old. I mean, that's just awful. That's way too young.
Way too young. And like, I think, it's tough. You're young. You're in the prime of your life, having a good time playing pro ball. This isn't the first time we've seen baseball players die on the water in accidents in motorized vehicles. Like, in fact, this is how Jose Fernandez went out with a boating accident. And like, you just be smart, people. It's Sunday night. Supposedly this accident happened. I'm sure, I don't know whether it's vision or other, things were involved in this, but like, this sucks. It's not fun for us to read. And now we're the baseball community is now mourning for a 19-year-old who should have had at least another 80 years in front of him. Instead, it's Wednesday, June 18th of 2025. And we're like, this sucks. But yeah, definitely keep prayers and thoughts for the family. Gotta be a rough week going on right now. Did you guys, transition from that? It's not easy to transition from that, but I thought it was definitely worth sharing and paying tribute to Luis. Did you guys see the new All-Star game uniforms
They're awful. They're, I'm so glad that they're gonna wear their team's uniforms now in the game because I mean, dude, I think a 6-year-old could have made better uniforms than this. This just feels like a disgrace, honestly. Like who is designing these uniforms? I mean, with all due respect, these are just awful. They're lazy. They're the colors I don't like at all. I don't like.
You know what? It's crazy. It's probably some artist out of Brooklyn. It's like a little hipster at a coffee shop drew these up. He's like, "Yeah, man, these are sick." And then like the department took it and ran with it, and you get these. Ethan, what are your thoughts on these unis?
I mean, dude, I was literally just gonna say, I don't know if you guys saw the Talking Baseball, the Talking Baseball parody account. I think their All-Star jerseys that they made with the cheetah print, low key might have been better than those jerseys. But I'm always I know this really hasn't been kind of a topic we've discussed, and I think anyone watching it might be in the same position. I like when they just wear the team jerseys that they wear. I don't like the one jersey for each side. Dude, let them, how cool would it be if they did a theme where it was every team wore their own jersey, but it was their throwback or their retro jersey. You have Junior Caminero out there in a Devil Rays jersey, or you have Ronald Acuna Jr. throwback in a Braves jersey. Like that would be so cool. And the marketing that they could do for it and the events. And I surely as hell really haven't been watching the All-Star games recently. If they made that switch and they made it like a throwback jersey for each representative for their team, that would be so cool.
I mean, I think 100%. I like the throwback idea because obviously it's a nice step to finally this year have you're at least wearing your own team's uniforms. You're not wearing these putrid uniforms that like why is the lettering so big and it's not even like lining up perfectly? Like there's so much.
It's not even capitalized.
Lowercase too, yeah.
Yeah. Did that piss you off too? It pissed me off. I was like, American League, National League, like respect the name, and it's a capital letters in the like. It's a proper.
Why is it? Why I know the Braves have the baby blue uniforms, but like if it's in Atlanta, do like a blue and a red or something. Like that's the team's main colors. Don't use like the third or fourth team. Like it's. I hate these uniforms. I could go on for a while about this.
They're gross. They're gross.
And nailed it right on the head. That I mean, it's literally. I was gonna say the same thing. They're not even capitalized. It looks weird. Like I don't know.
I think my biggest disappointment with them is like this City Connect jerseys. Like I'm not a fan of alternate jerseys typically in any sport. Like I think it's like a big like marketing. Like we'll sell some extra jerseys of Joe Burrow in these white Bengal uniforms. Like. Stop. Like you're ruining artistic integrity of uniform creation by trying to overdo it. And with the City Connect jerseys, the MLB, in my opinion, has done a great job this year specifically with nailing them. And like maybe people could have their takes on, but like the White Sox one I know was like the iffy one, but like the Tampa Bay Rays, the Marlins, the Diamondbacks, they all had great ones come out, and I'm trying to think. Boston's are sick. Yeah. Boston's are awesome. And then you take the best players in the league and you make them wear these. Like, what the is that? Like,
Brett, I'll really quick ask you a question. When do you think the Yankees get one? I know it was rumored last year, but like, do the Yankees even get a City Connect jersey?
I think that. I don't know. The Yankees just let players start like growing mustaches and a little facial hair. Like
more happening now than it would have last year at this point.
I think give it like 4 or 5 years. If the Yankees aren't like making enough money, they're gonna be like, "Oh, we need a new strategy to."
They're just gonna take the pinstripes off and call it the City Connect, dude.
That or do.
They're not gonna change anything.
They'll do like a navy blue or a black and like something. I don't know.
The navy blue would be pretty sick.
If they did a navy blue one with white pinstripes and then white put bombers like Bronx Bombers, I think that would be pretty cool.
I like the navy. Don't we have navy blue in spring training?
In the All-Star game jerseys at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Last 2 things before we close out the show. So Ippy Mizuhara, the former interpreter for Shohei Ohtani, so he reported a federal prison in Pennsylvania. One, it sucks. You're going from California gambling life, $17 million in the hole of Ohtani's money to jail in Pennsylvania. That sucks. He stole $17 million. He's going to jail for 57 months. Remember when this was like a thing where people thought Otani was gambling and it like just turned out his interpreter was like a piece of shit?
I think the funniest thing is him trying. I don't know if you've actually heard the scam calls that he was making to the bank.
He's the what?
When he called the bank saying he was Shohei Ohtani needs the money, and the bank didn't bat an eye.
Yeah,
Have you
dude.
seen those, Brett?
No, I haven't. I gotta look them up.
They're hilarious. Like, I mean, like they're easily going through with it, and he's like, I need to make a withdrawal of $500,000 or some shit.
The thing is, like, if you're a bank, you're used to dealing more with people like me and you, like where we're like withdrawing money, like, oh shit, accounts look, I'll speak for myself, accounts looking low today, and it's like, Shohei, it's like 500,000 is a drop in the bucket. And top of that, like, this guy knew everything about him. He knew his passwords. He was doing everything for him. Like, if anything, like, what do they, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer, whatever. Like, you have no idea how much interaction they had together. And actually, that's a bad saying, but you know what I mean? Like, it's the last person you expect to rob you blindly is doing it. And it's like, this guy had every detail he needed to, be Shohei Ohtani over the phone.
Yeah, and just really quick before we go to the next point, I think one thing that never got talked about with that, when a guy like Shohei Ohtani is so busy recovering and doing his normal stuff, I'm sorry, I think the last thing he's worrying about is his finances. I think he probably had a guy doing it for him, eBay, and that's probably why he didn't know what was going on, because he probably was paying him or whoever to manage his assets and his finances, because frankly, Shohei Ohtani doesn't really need to worry about that.
Especially when there's people who are close to Shohei Ohtani who have said that he's not really someone who's checking his money out. Like, they said he's not really a huge guy who's into his money, like all that. Like, it just kind of his personality. Like, I believe they said, like, he sends a lot of his money back to his mom in Japan, I believe. But there's also, too, I know there's still, you're an adult and you're checking your money, whatever, investing like that. But at the same time, I mean, the dude's making way more money than any of us will see.
Dude, he's making more money than some countries have as a GDP. It's insane the money Shohei's making. Hey, and lead us off, eye-popping stat of the week to close us out.
For all you guys watch the College World Series out there, Arkansas has a pitcher, Gage Wood. He just no-hit Murray State yesterday in the College World Series, striking out 19 batters on 119 pitches. This is only the third no-hitter in the men's College World Series history, in the first in 65 years. I mean, this dude was electric. I loved strikes out the last dude to end the game, starts going like this on his chest, showing the Arkansas. That was electric. I mean, it was cool too that they let him go back out there. I know college pitchers, you get to go a little bit deeper than major league now, but like 119 pitches, 19 strikeouts. I mean, he had a perfect game going until in the 8th inning he hit a dude on the hand. And they asked him after the game, they said, what should you have done better tonight? Or what? It was something on the lines of, what could you have done better? He said, I shouldn't hit the guy. Like, that was the only thing he said.
So badass.
Dude, I don't know how the College World Series works, but the Arkansas Razorbacks, who Gage Wood plays for, just lost, and now they're eliminated. Didn't they just win last night versus Murray State? And it's only a one-game elimination.
Close to Carolina then, yeah.
Why is it only a one-game elimination? I thought they play series.
Arkansas lost in the World Series already. LSU was undefeated in the World Series.
I'm going to need you to explain that to me offline. And for anyone listening, go YouTube it. I have Hagen. Outside of that, thank you all for listening. If you're still around, Ethan, Hagen, always a pleasure. Bye.